Yeah. Oh no, I'm not. I've got to be.
Este es Guaido. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Glasgow to Edinburgh Ultra Marathon. Let's be having you. 56 miles with Ultraman Bridle here.
That's not my mate man there, is it? What's happening?
It is. Look, Swiss just behind us.
How are we, bro?
How's it going, my man?
How are you?
Ready for this?
Fucking ready as long as
Let's go! What, just make myself on the ground. Right, thank you. Thank you. Let's go. Officially on the canal, just about a mile ago, just over the Stockingfield Bridge, just there, big brand new bridge, absolutely lovely. So I'll probably see you next in from daylight, and let's go and find our pace and get this done, Bridle.
Yes, let's do it.
Feeling great, just loving this sort of vibe that we've got running in the rain. It's amazing. Let's go. Okay, so here we are, 8.5 mile in roughly, moving very freely, very good. How would you say, Brian?
Oh, really good, mate. Enjoyable so far.
Moving really well. That last section you just seen there, it gets quite technical when it's quite wet, running through huge puddles. Of course, being Glasgow and being Scotland, there has to be an amber weather warning when you're trying to run a 56 mile ultra marathon, because we wouldn't do it any other way. So let's go get this done. And yep, you might have guessed it, I had a DNF at the Glasgow to Edinburgh Ultra. Man, what went wrong? Well, I'm here to tell you today exactly what went wrong, because on this channel, as you know, we like to keep it real. I want to say straight here and now, big thanks to Brian, who you seen last at 8.5 miles with me just there, running on the canal. He helped me through so much of that race, it was unbelievable. Just helping me to dig deep. Brian has ran ultras before and he just done a 50 mile ultra the week before, I think it was Glencoe, and he really has a lot of experience under his belt, so having him there on the day really helped me out massively and helped me to achieve the 37 miles that I did. Obviously it was myself that was putting out all the effort, it was myself that was taking on all the nutrition, it was myself that was taking on all the water and all the food and stuff, but I'm going to cover all that in this video today. So let's start from the start line. How did it go? So let's start from that morning. So Brian picked me up at 4:30 on Saturday morning, the day of the ultra. We then headed to the Riverside Museum just down at the River Clyde in Glasgow. If any of you know, it's a cracking big place. I'll just put the drone footage up over this and you'll see how spectacular of a place it is, and it's really great because on the morning they do open up the doors. You are allowed inside, you can wander around, and most importantly you can use the toilet facilities. So the race kicked off at 6 AM and I'll tell you something, it was tipping down, it was absolutely pouring. There was an amber weather warning out there and the race still went ahead, which is totally fine. We were prepared for it. We had our hats on, we had jackets on, we had base layers on, everything basically to keep us dry and keep us warm we had with us. All the essential race stuff as well, spare tops. So the race kicked off at 6 AM and it was spectacular, everybody running in the rain. As you've seen at the start of this, it was just amazing, that sort of vibe you got for it. And then we headed off into Kelvin Grove Park, right through Kelvin Grove Park where there was like knee-deep puddles already. Now bearing in mind this is like 15 minutes into the race, so you're heading through Kelvin Grove Park and then you head up onto the canal. Now the canal footage I got was from the day before also, and it doesn't really show how bad the weather was. Like, it really looks lovely, but this is like the start of the canal. You head up over these locks and then you head out on the canal to the Stockingfield Bridge, where you literally run up and then run back on yourself and run over. Again, the drone footage is from yesterday, so it really just shows and captures how spectacular of an engineering design this is. So from that point on the bridge, you're 23 miles to Falkirk, and I'll be honest, the aid stations were exactly where they needed to be. everything was fine, like everything was ticking over very nicely, and that was where you see me and Brian just at 8.5 mile. We were just cruising. All the boxes were getting ticked, all the fluids were getting taken in, tailwind, all the sodium tablets and stuff. So I really couldn't have done any more nutrition wise. So we gets to the Falkirk wheel. Now the Falkirk wheel is a spectacular piece of engineering. I think we got there in around about 4 hours and 5 minutes. Again, we were running up towards the checkpoint, and there's literally a river running down the path towards us. Now, I don't know if any of you's seen any of the footage from anyone else's vlogs or that from that day, but you will see that we were running through knee-deep water pretty much 75% of the time. Now, one thing I would say is that played a huge factor into my DNF, because I don't know if it was the constant bombardment of rain that I just wasn't used to, because I was out there for nearly 7 hours. It was just absolutely terrible. So again, I was able to use the toilet facilities at the Falkirk wheel, and I must admit, when I went inside, it was so warm, it was absolutely amazing. But again, we came back out, got up to the checkpoint at the top of the Falkirk wheel, and it was still absolutely lashing it down. And my race plan for the day was Grant was supposed to meet us at the Falkirk wheel, and unfortunately due to the weather, that he just couldn't make it there. Like, there was floods everywhere, flash flooding all about Falkirk. Now here's a couple of articles just here and here, just of what happened at Falkirk on that day. Like, it was just ridiculous. I don't know if anybody has seen any reels of that. I'll try and get one posted in my shorts, but I mean, there was flooding everywhere. To put you in the picture, the Edinburgh Ultra got called off as well, so it just shows you how bad the weather was in Scotland on that day. So the plan was to get Grant and change my shoes, change my clothes if I was soaked, which I was totally fine with. And as I just said there, Grant couldn't make it to Falkirk, so already that maybe probably put a bit of dampener on my mindset, but we carried on, soldiered on. As we got to the top of the hill at the Falkirk wheel, I felt a bit of cramp coming onto my legs. Now, there was absolutely no reason for this, I don't think, because I was keeping up with my salt and nutrition. I was just keeping up with the fluids. I don't believe I could have done anything better to stop my legs feeling the way they did just after that marathon distance. What I do think played a huge part was the cold, wet weather. I think that's what played a massive part in how my legs felt, how my body was feeling by that point. But we carried on, met Grant at 30 miles. It gave me the sandwich that I was supposed to have at the marathon point, just at the Falkirk wheel. So I had that, and I'll be honest, like, I felt like crying as soon as I got to Grant. I felt that terrible. Things just weren't going that well at that point. And see, even just now, I feel a bit emotional talking about it, because I know how I felt as I was running up towards him. And then leaving him again, knowing that there was a car there with all my essentials in it. And I know if I'd have changed my shoes there, then I would have ran up the road and I would have just been soaking again. There was absolutely no point in changing any of my sort of footwear. One thing I did do just past Falkirk though is I changed my top. I changed my base layer top underneath my jacket. And to be fair, that felt like a game changer, just with getting that fresh sort of warm top on, and then obviously the cold wet jacket back on top of it. So then we carried on for there, and I'm not going to lie, we were running through sections of the course, and it was basically like the canal was coming up to meet the pathway, because the path was just absolutely covered in water. There was water coming off of the side of the like the hills onto the path. There was water coming over bridges down onto the path. There was just water everywhere. And to be honest, when I signed up for Glasgow, Edinburgh, I imagined, and probably you'll imagine, that it's a nice flat easy course, you can just run it and you don't need to worry about technical trails or that. Well, to be fair, this was technical right for the get-go. This was technical right from the start line back at the Riverside Museum. So you're talking, we were like 6 hours in by this point, maybe 5 or 6 hours in. But I think we hit the 30 mile mark around 5 hours, and shortly after that Brian had just got ahead of me, and I thought just let him go, because Brian was adamant that he was going to stay with me the full day, and I knew in myself that I was holding him back at that point. So I think it was the right call for Brian to make. He done what he had to do, and I'm proud of you for that, Brian. Well done. I just know that when I got to Linlithgow, I could not possibly move any further forward. There's no way I could have done 20 more miles. I don't think even walking in that torrential rain, I could have done 20 more miles. It was absolutely horrible. And I don't know if anybody watching this done the Glasgow Edinburgh Ultra, you can maybe back up exactly what I'm saying here on how bad the course and the weather was on that day. So what made me quit then? What made the final decision for me? So I phoned Natalie and the kids, and even my brother Grant and Rhiannon, and I spoke to them, and I was like, listen, I really don't want to let you down, because I know I was doing this for charity. I know I was doing this for type 1 diabetes. I know that I said to you guys, even like when I'm doing it, I'll be thinking about what people with type 1 diabetes go through on a daily basis and how hard their lives can be. Sorry, I feel a wee bit emotional again here, because I know how I was feeling on the day, and thinking about it just now is absolutely, it's so emotional. And sharing this with you guys is the only way for me to let you know how hard it was for me to make that call on the day. But it was essentially the thing that it was the only thing that could have been done and that had to be done. So I really appreciate everybody who sponsored me. If you still want to sponsor me, the Just Giving link is down in the description below. And I just want to thank everybody for the support all the way through this training block, like the 7 weeks or so of this training block. And even over on Instagram on the day of the race, and on Strava on the day of the race, I get so much support. It was so overwhelming that I'm still catching up with mails and messages today. So I want to thank every single person of you. And if that was you that emailed me or mailed me or messaged me, then thank you very much. And I mean that sincerely, for the bottom of my heart. Even everyone who donated, for the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. Will I be back to do it next year? Most likely. But what I'm going to do in between now and then is pick up a few races like 50k ultra marathons and stuff, and really build myself up to that 56 miler, because to push through so hard for nearly 7 hours on the day was absolute torture. It was horrendous. We should be locked up for the sort of weather it was, and just everything, all the factors come into play. But again, thank you very much for tuning into this video. If you do like the content and you want to see more like this, please do consider hitting that wee subscribe button, and let me know what you thought. Let me know if you thought I made the right call. Would you have made the same call on the day, or do you think I could have carried on? Did you see me on the day? Then let me just know down in the comments below. Thank you all for tuning into this vlog, and I'll see you probably next week when I decide on my next race. So stay tuned, get subscribed, and I'll see you all in the next video. Let's go.